passionate lovemaking techniques, how to have hot sex. What do you actually do? Where do you stroke it, touch it, lick it, fuck it? Then I have the communication skills, how to confidently know what you want and ask for it in every moment and have your partner love that you told them your needs. Clitoral for women and ejaculatory for men, the classic. And then there's the G spot and then the U spot and the prostate orgasm for him. And then there's the blended orgasm, the blended G and clit or prostate and penis, the cervical intercourse, penis and vagina sex, orgasm from either a toy or a penis inside your vagina, with, for men, teaching them how to have the stamina to come when she's ready to for final simultaneous orgasms, how to gas and break your arousal so that you can come together.
Well, hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Rebel Love podcast. My guest today is Susan Bratton, intimacy expert to millions. She is a champion and advocate for all those who desire intimacy and passion their whole life long. Susan is a best-selling author and publisher of 34 books and programs, including Sexual Soulmates, Relationship Magic, Revive Her Drive, Steamy Sex Ed, and many more titles. Welcome, Susan. Thank you so much for being here.
One of the things that I've been really spending a lot of time thinking about and talking about recently that very much affects women 35 and up is the fact that we've been what I would call laboring under the patriarchal view of what sex should be like. And I've been an intimacy expert for 15 years this year. My company will be 15 in September. And I've studied so much about sex and intimacy and passionate lovemaking and conscious communication techniques and anatomy, female genital anatomy, male genital anatomy, how it works, etc. And I am 60 now, and I have to tell you, I've come up with some insights that I really want to tell women about, because we women take on all the bullshit of the universe as our own problem rather than realizing how much of the bullshit of the universe that we have inherited.
Yes.
And I really have been doing a lot of reframing of people's thinking about their sexuality and what it is and what it means to them and how they can have the kind of sex. I basically have some ideas for how you should have sex.
Awesome.
That are different than the way you've been having sex, that I think it seems to be really resonating with women. And I kind of want, because it's Rebel Love, I really wanted to talk a little bit about that today because it's so front of my mind and it's getting so much traction in my thinking. And I think it's very groundbreaking.
Let's do it.
I don't say so myself. Oh,
let's do it. I definitely want to hear it.
Yep. So the first thing that has really hit home for me is how fast men get turned on and how fast their dicks get hard compared to our yoni. I like to use the word yoni. Do you use that?
Yeah, I like the word yoni.
I like yoni too.
Word.
And lingam.
It's a pretty
nice
word
too. It is. It's a pretty word. How fast they're ready to go. They have the benefit of testosterone dominance. We're estrogen dominant. So we're worried about our safety and our security, and we're judgy and we have body image issues, and we have a hard time relaxing and getting out of our head and into our body, and all that shit is just the baggage we carry being born XX instead of XY chromosome. So we already start out at kind of a disadvantage because our male-bodied partners are like, well, my dick is hard, let's have sex. And they can really maniacally focus on the goal, and they're very goal-oriented. And estrogen's not goal-oriented. It's like la, 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 all over the map, taking in all the information. And it has such a more winding way to it. So that's the first thing, is that our vulvas take a long time to get erect. And everybody's talking about men's ED and nobody's talking about women's ED. The fact that we have sensation loss and lubrication issues and we don't get enough foreplay. So that is another piece of it for me. The second thing is that I've been thinking a lot about big clit energy. I want women to feel like we have a giant clit in our pants and we can slap it around and exert ourselves the same way our penis owning partners do. And I'm really wanting to empower women to live into their clitoral structure and not think about it as this little tip, but to realize that it's this giant, there's 3 giant erectile tissue structures that literally wrap around our vagina that need to get filled with blood for us to feel pleasure. And so much of what I see out in the world is women saying, you have to touch the clit. You have to touch the clit. Sexperts do this all the time, where everything's focused on the little nub at the end when we're not talking about vulval activation. We're not talking about enlivening and awakening and getting new neural pathways to our brain for more pleasure sensations, where you could touch us with the most delicate of touch. And we would come and come and come and come and come. And we're not getting cummed well, partly because we don't even know what good coming is like. So another thing that I've been working on, I'm piecing together some of my thoughts. So, because I know you're going to be like, okay, I want to go back and talk about this and talk about that. One of the other things I've been working on is the 20 kinds of male and female orgasm. And the fact that though we have a urethral canal and a G-spot, if you will, which is called our urethral canal, and a perineal sponge and a clitoral structure with arms and legs and a shaft and a tip, we're not taking all that into account and developing ourselves, developing our pleasure. Our male body partners have penises, they have prostates, and they have an ejaculation. And when they have sex, it's in their mind, I'm going to ejaculate.
Right.
Well, how about if before you ejaculate, I get to ejaculate? How about if we make sure that mommy ejaculates before daddy ejaculates? How about that? Why aren't I ejaculating? All women can. All women can gush feminine water. It's divine nectar. Why is it that women feel like they're embarrassed about it or that it's pee? Female ejaculation of all the 20 kinds of orgasms, to me, is the most empowering, because you're making a mess and you're squirting it out. And it's like a good cry, and an orgasm had a baby, and you're just like, I'm just gonna come, and you're just like, whoosh. I think that if men learned how to make us come like that, and our female bodied partners too, I'm just using the masculine versus the feminine, and I don't think it's guys' fault. They don't know because we don't know.
Yeah.
So there's no blame game here. I just want to right the playing field. I just want to tilt the table back so it's equal and we get to squirt too. And why don't we squirt first so you could squirt at the end, because you're only going to have one orgasm because you apparently are satisfied with that, but I'm not, because I want to have 20, 30, 40. I want to come the entire time we're having sex. I want to come all the time, every day. I want to be coming while I'm walking the dog and walking on the beach and making chili. I just want to be in orgasm. I want to live through my big clit energy. And that's really where I am with things, is like, okay, I got to help women find that energy, live through their pussy, express their life force, and demand pleasuring at that level. So that's what's going on for me today. Plus, I'm making chili. Though I am going to talk about the male-female partnered relationship, I just want to lay down space for gender expression across the spectrum and all bodies and all partners. And I find that it's easier for me to still just stick with the masculine feminine because the large majority of people are in heterosexual monogamous relationships or in serial monogamous relationships. Very few women are in poly relationships or dating multiple people simultaneously, because we do put our vaginas at risk when we have a lot of partners. And so we do have to be careful with that.
Right.
The more partners that you introduce. So I think one of the very best things is just using your hands on each other. And I am a massive proponent of the vulva massage, the yoni massage, the pussy massage, the vagina massage, if you want to call it that. Although I don't use the word vagina because that's just the canal that is for babies and periods and penises and toys. I like to think about it, the entire structure, my belly, my mons, my outer labia, my inner labia, my urethral sponge, my perineal sponge, my vaginal opening, my vaginal interior, all the places inside the vagina, all my rectum, my anus, my ass cheeks, my breasts, my nipples, my lips, my tongue, my throat, my neck, my eyes, my hair, my body, my feet. Everything to me is an erogenous zone when you're with a lover and you're turned on. So pussy massage, I'll just call it pussy massage. Is that one an okay one to use?
Sure. Yep.
Okay. So I think pussy massage is the Rosetta Stone to great orgasms, because a good rubber, a good person who knows how to rub a pussy, who knows how to bring the blood in and engorge the tissue and get that mons gelatinous and knead those outer labia and play with the sweet cheeks and stroke the inner labia and run their hands on the clitoral shaft, not just the tip, and knows how to touch the tip of the clitoris in ways that they can get under it, over it, on the sides of it. They know, as we were talking about earlier, to not just touch the skin on the outside, but to touch the meat of the clit, the meat of the shaft, to get inside the vagina, to map the inside of the vagina, to use one finger, two fingers, blended orgasms, two fingers inside your vagina with fingers stroking the clitoris from the outside, sending energy from outside your body to inside your body, arcing the energy between the fingers that are inside and outside, and sending intentional energy and heart love, and talking to you and telling you how beautiful your pussy is and how much more rosy and plump it's getting, and how you can see it getting full of just turn on and arousal, and watching your hips start to move and watching your body undulate with turn on and with more desire, and seeing you relax and just go off into the ether as they're rubbing and touching and kneading and stroking your entire pussy and giving you orgasm after orgasm after orgasm. And then going down on you, and it not just being I'm doing the alphabet with the tip of my tongue on your clit, but actually making out with your pussy and getting into it and giving them self energy orgasms from going down on you, where you're both coming together because it's just so hot. I mean, I think all those kinds of things are how partners begin to do foreplay and warm up. And a lot of people say, well, you know, intercourse is overrated because it's all about the clit. And I say, but the clit's entirely wrapping the vagina. You're just thinking about the tip because you haven't seen my pictures. You need to go see Susan Bratton's pictures of the clit and the 3 erectile tissue systems. And if you thought about that, then you'd know that all of that erectile tissue is just embracing it's a beautiful bracelet around the vagina. And then when you make love and he penetrates you and he knows how to use his penis, he knows that it's a pivot like a pool cue. He knows that your entire inner vagina is deserving of attention, that it's not about just in and out like a piston, that he knows how to do shallow strokes and deep strokes and short strokes and long strokes. And he knows how to connect his cock to his heart, and you can feel his love through his cock inside you. That's the kind of thing that I'm trying to get people to go for, is that level of experience of the slowness and the eroticism and the full touch, not just I'm going to stroke your clit and fuck you.
Yeah.
I had some custom illustrations made because I did not feel there was a single place that showed all 3 of our erectile tissue systems in one picture. Let me show it to you.
Yeah, please do. Awesome.
So I usually start with what our vulva looks like,
Mhm.
because that's an orientation. And really what I want to show ultimately is what's behind this, what's under the skin. I teach a lot of touch techniques, actually. And one of the things that I teach is don't rub the skin, rub the tissue under the skin, touch the meat of a body. Don't just, skin rubbing is nice.
Mhm.
It's one touch technique. But when you're dealing with the meat of the vulva, you want to get inside the skin. So when I start with this and I explain that this part up here, the mons venus on the top, all of the female ejaculation comes down through the belly. You actually massage the belly and massage the mons to get the fluid to run down into the urethral canal. And then you've got the outer labia. Underneath the outer labia are the legs of the clit. They're right under there. They're the little punching bags. They're right underneath there. That's where they are. And then the clit itself, the tip, the glans has the nerve endings, but it's not actually erectile tissue. All the erectile tissue is the shaft that goes up, and you can feel it if you trace it. If you roll it between your fingers, you can touch it. You can feel it going inside the opening of the pubic bone and down in, where the little arms split and run down between the inner and outer labia. You can get to them in the channel between the outer labia and the inner labia. The inside of the outer labia, the outside of the inner labia. That's where those little legs run down. When was the last time anybody ever stroked their clit legs between the channels of the labia? Never. Well, in my bedroom, yes.
I've had it. I've had some surprisingly pretty skilled men, thankfully.
That's so good.
It is. I'm very fortunate. I am very fortunate.
And then the inner labia, they're so full of sensation. They're so ripe with desire for touch. And the inside the vestibule, there's that urethral sponge, which is where your pee comes out and your ejaculate. And when I explain to women, well, men ejaculate and urinate out of their penises through the same urethral canal. So why are you worried that what you're doing is peeing?
Yeah.
You're not. You're ejaculating. If you allow yourself to, it's not pee. And even, a week ago on Instagram, I saw some company that was supposed to be doing some women's health stuff, talking about how it was urine, but it was okay to let it go. And I DM'd them and I said, you are absolutely incorrect about that. Would you like me to explain it to your staff for you? Like they're just doing such a disservice. And they said, no, thank you. We're happy. I know.
Bummer. That sucks.
But this I always call the second G spot, because most people understand that if you go inside the vagina and you push up on the roof of the vagina, you're going to touch what's called the G spot, but it's actually the urethral canal, the urethral sponge. But it actually exits right here on the face of the vestibule, and that tissue feels marvelous to the touch. And then the vagina, the opening to the vagina, that introital sphincter. How many partners have just plunged their penises directly inside us, never touching that tissue or licking that tissue or loving that tissue and coaxing it, never just resting a thumb on it or resting a finger on it and letting it call them in? Why have we been just repeatedly just penetrated so quickly without any thought to the door of the opening to our cave? So I think about all of these things and the labia coming all the way down and meeting at the bottom in this beautiful little piece of skin called a fourchette, and the hood of the clitoris where the shaft goes up inside the hood. Why aren't we stroking that to give ourselves orgasms? I mean, all of this, when it's activated, is so incredible. And then when you peel back the layer and you look at what's under there and you see the glands and the shaft, how come we're having sex before we have a clitoral erection? Our clit pops. We need to pop our clit. We need our legs and our arms pleasured. We need this sponge filled with blood. And we've got this perineal sponge between the bottom of the vagina and the rectum. That's our third erectile tissue. That's when women say to me, I'm just not the kind of woman who can have an orgasm from intercourse. I say, yet.
Yeah.
It's a learned skill. Some women come by it naturally. Some women ejaculate naturally. Some women have G-spot pleasure naturally. Some women like anal sex naturally. Some women have breastgasms naturally. Some women have footgasms, bellygasms. Some women have orgasms going down on dildos or penises. Why do you think that you can't do it? Everything in sexuality is a learned skill. Procreation, we can figure out where the parts go to make the baby, but making love, we got to learn how to do it. So just the fact that our entire vaginal area is wrapped in all this tissue that takes so long to get engorged, but the more you play with it, the easier it is to get engorged. The more your vascularization and your blood flow is good and pumps through your body, the easier it is to get all that tissue just completely enlivened and full of blood. I feel like if women understood that they should never have sex before they're fully erect, and that they have as much erectile tissue in their vulva as their male body partner does in his penis, and that they've been having sex with a flaccid vulva their entire life, how much more pleasure could they generate just with that awareness?
I really want to ask you, what are the 20 types of orgasms? Can we go through those?
Yeah, I have them written down because it's hard to remember. Hang on. I have them right here. One of the things that I'm doing is a 15-week orgasm challenge. I have a sex tips newsletter. And I send out an email every week with some technique or tip of how to learn how to do something new. And lots of other things too. I have so many free gifts and things that I give away. I love it. I sell plenty of my programs. I've written and published probably 40 books and online programs. Expand Her Orgasm Tonight, Female Liquid Orgasm, the Seduction Trilogy, the Steamy Sex Ed Video Collection, Revive Her Drive, Ravage Him with Dominance, the Passion Patch, the Blowjob Secret. I mean, the list just goes on and on. And then I have all my free things, the Thrust and Times, and Arousal and Libido and Desire, and Hormone Balancing. I mean, I cover the gamut. What I write about are passionate lovemaking techniques, how to have hot sex. What do you actually do? Where do you stroke it, touch it, lick it, fuck it? Then I have the communication skills, how to confidently know what you want and ask for it in every moment and have your partner love that you told them your needs, that piece. And then I have my vagina is broken. My dick is broken. What do I do? How do I fix it? I get UTIs. I'm afraid of STIs. I don't have any lubrication. My husband's got ED, whatever it is. I've got all the answers to that. I use a lot of sexual regenerative technologies and treatments and teach people, okay, here's where you go to fix that problem. And here are the 3 things you need to do to get more get wetter and, all that stuff. So the 15-week orgasm challenge I had to gang some of them up because I was like, I don't know, 20 weeks is a long time. Let's just put some together and meld them together. But there's clitoral for women and ejaculatory for men. The classics is what I started with. And then there's the G spot and then the U spot, that G spot number 2 on the face of the vagina that we talked about earlier, the G spot, U spot, and the prostate orgasm for him. And then there's the blended orgasm, the blended G and clit or prostate and penis. And then there's the cervical intercourse, penis and vagina sex, orgasm from either a toy or a penis inside your vagina, with, for men, teaching them how to have the stamina to come when she's ready to for final simultaneous orgasms, how to gas and break your arousal so that you can come together, which is what I called my orgasm challenge. Come together. I called it come with me, the 15-week orgasm challenge.
I love that.
There's heartgasms, learning how to remember that connect your cock with your heart thing. That's something that most men need to practice to achieve. Then there's what I would call the ass. So whether it's the cheeks, the perineum, the anus, the rectum, the whole shebang. How do you have anal gasms? It doesn't need to be penetrative. It can just be external, but that whole range. Then there's female ejaculatory orgasms, which I think we should have before our men ejaculate. Then there's the mouth, throat, neck, and then breathgasms, all that kind of piece. I mean, if you think about breathgasms, that's an entirely separate category where you're just using your breath to make yourself come. That's nice. Those are fun. You can do the yab yum with the circular breathings. You can do pussy breathing yourself. I mean, there's a lot of breathwork techniques for orgasmic ecstasy. But then there's also the fact that the mouth, the tongue, the lips, the neck is all so erogenous that, I mean, I can easily have orgasms from hot kissing. I can easily have orgasms from deep throating a cock. I mean, they're just incredible. I really love those orgasms. I really enjoy those throatgasms that I have. They are so nice. Then the whole breast and nipples, the bellygasm or coregasm instead of orgasm that you can have from the erectus abdominis being stimulated. That's a nice orgasm. Expanded orgasm. I mean, there's locations to stimulate. There's techniques you can use for orgasm, and there's toys and tools and objects. So there's 3 categories. So the expanded orgasm is actually a clitoral stroking practice that I mentioned earlier, where it's a real light stroke on the clit that allows you to get up into that orgasm and stay in it for really long times with the most delicate of touch. So that's a good one. And then for men, it's edging, how to learn where their point of no return is and go up and down the arousal ladder and just take themselves up and close and up and close and up and close. That's the beginning for them of male multiple orgasm, where they begin to transmute the ejaculation and bring it inside and feel the orgasm in their body without ejaculating. Men need to understand that ejaculation and orgasm are 2 separate systems in the body. They've just chosen to connect them. They are not connected, just like you can squirt and not have an orgasm. You can have an orgasm and not squirt. So edging, and then the energy orgasms, the full body energy orgasms, the male multiple orgasms. So you start to come and come and come without ejaculating. And then your turn on, she can see your turn on because you're coming. You're just not ejaculating. You're having orgasms, and that's triggering more orgasms for her because she's a tuning fork to your orgasms, right? You start resonating with orgasm, and she's going to start resonating with orgasm. She's going to ride that vibe with you. So I really love to teach male multiple orgasm. That's another one of my programs, the multi-orgasmic lover for men. And then sex toys, which is an explosive category. I'll turn my computer here so you can see that next to me on my desk, I have like, I don't know, 30 vibrators and things right here, because one of the things people tell me is that they rank themselves very low at integrating toys into lovemaking with partners. They think about them as solo. And I'm like, I need you to have as many orgasms as possible, and that won't be happening if you don't bring in some sex toys. I mean, at least get a cock ring, for God's sake, a vibrating cock ring or something, you know? And then there's sensation and impact play, spanking and flogging and candle wax and all electro stim and violet wands and sensation, you know, that's a big one. And then there's fetish. So there are certain people for whom specific items really get them off, or specific scenes really get them off. And anyone can explore these things. And that's what's nice about your sexuality, is that it actually matures as you mature. And what was interesting to you in your 20s is different than your 30s, is different than your 40s, is different than your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Let's live to 100 and have hot sex.
Right.
Then
Yes.
there's erotic hypnosis. So you can do a think off. You can voice command people to orgasm using neurolinguistic programming. There's also orgasm control, where you can deny orgasm. And then, of course, there's a giant category, which is fantasy. I mean, my husband is just a font of fabulous, sexy ideas. He is always coming up with shit. And I love him for it. I mean, I do not know how he has the time to think all this stuff up, but he does. And I'm like, that's hot. Let's do it. So fantasy is really fun and endlessly gives pleasure. And then, of course, the last thing, number 20, is called wild card, because there's no way that I've gotten them all in the first 20. I mean,
Right.
there are things that I have missed. And I always say, if I miss something, tell me what you're doing to get off. I forgot urethral sounding when I talked about the urethra. Urethral sound. Some people use that. There's so many ways people give themselves orgasms. So I always like to make sure I got wild card there as my insurance policy for things that I don't even know about yet, because the surface area of sexuality is vast, more vast than our beautiful oceans. So I am always learning, even though I've been doing this for 15 years straight. My husband's name is Tim. We've been married for 30 years. I'm 60 years old, and we have a fantastic sex life. When I don't have COVID, we have a fantastic sex life. And he has partners as well, because he's too good to keep to myself. Other women deserve to have that experience, and every woman he's ever with has been adding to his knowledge. So it's a plus up for me. I'm not jealous. I mean, there are times I get jealous. My yoni gets jealous if she's not getting what the other girl's having. I'm like, oh, you better put some attention on me, asshole, you know. But you know, when my pussy rears her cranky head, we mollify her.
Can I ask you a question about this? Do you feel comfortable talking about your relationship with your
Sure.
husband?
Yeah.
Do you have other partners?
Yes, I do. I have a boyfriend.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Mhm.
And okay, well, what about your boyfriend? Did your husband teach your boyfriend any tricks?
Oh yeah, he teaches him all kinds of things. As a matter of fact, he's learning expanded orgasm right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the expanded orgasm practice that I've had with my husband for 17 years, that we've been teaching people for that long,
Mm-hmm.
which is a clitoral stroking technique that takes the moment of orgasm and lets you stretch it out like taffy, like time bends. It's like time bending reality of orgasmic pleasure. You're in an ecstatic state of bliss that you can ride and ride and ride. It's like being a big wave rider. And I'm teaching my boyfriend how to do it. And just yesterday, I said, honey, come in. We're going to have a date. We just call it a date. We're having a date, and we didn't get our legs right the last time. And so he came in and he's like, right, you need to move that leg here. And then I always put a pillow under there, right there. And then I put her leg like this. And then I always put something right here. And he's like, oh, okay, that looks good. And we're like, that's what we needed. We were just a little cockeyed. And so he'll come in, and then he goes over the strokes and, explains them again. And so my boyfriend can learn them. And what's so great is that my boyfriend has realized that he always loved playing with my nipples, and he could play with my nipples and just basically make me come for an hour or two. Like if we were sitting somewhere and I was leaning back against him and he had his hands just on my breasts and he was barely touching my nipples, he would just make me come and come and come and come and come and come. It's ridiculous. And it dawned on us yesterday, oh, dude, you're just doing to my clit what you've been doing to my nipples. He's already a natural at it. So a lot of times I'll lean back against him and he'll just play with my breasts and nipples and give me orgasms while I put a vibrator on my clit and we watch ourselves in the mirror at the foot of my bed. It's really nice.
That is really nice. That is
Yeah.
really nice to watch yourself. And
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I have so many questions.
Okay.
When
I'll
did
tell you.
All right, I feel like this podcast is pivoting. When did you decide to open up your relationship with your husband? Or were you monogamous, or have you always been?
Yeah, no, we've been married for 30 years and we've been poly for 15 probably. When we learned how to have great sex, we said, let's fuck some other people.
And has there ever been any, has it ever made any kind of rocky relations between you staying together?
Oh, not between us staying together. No way. I mean, we are the base. Everyone rests upon us. Right. We provide the foundation. We're the firmament of love. Mm-hmm. We're the firmament of love to so many people, even if we don't make love with them. So we're solid. But does it rock our world? Does it push our buttons? Does it take us to the edge of our comfort? Do we have to work through shit? Constantly. That's what being poly is. And that's okay. And every once in a while, we're like, whoa, this is tough, man. And mostly it's just tough when one person feels excluded.
Yeah.
So that can be very difficult. And it's our job, if we feel excluded, to say so and help us get ourselves back in. It's not easy, but it's so rich and it's so worth it for us. But it's not for everyone. We are very highly evolved. We've done a shit ton of work. We're super stable. We're very in love. We have enough love to love others too. And we are in a committed monogamous quad. So there's another man and another woman, and our daughter knows about it and her boyfriend. And we make love, if someone doesn't feel well, there might be a threesome with the other three if I'm not well enough to participate, and my boyfriend has sex with his girlfriend, and that's fine too. And I have threesomes with my husband and my boyfriend. I have threesomes with my husband and his girlfriend. We all have foursomes. I mean, it just works out.
That sounds like a really nice relationship, actually.
We are what's called kitchen table poly.
Kitchen table
cook together. Yeah. Where you eat together, you cook together, you live your lives together. You go through your ups and downs together and you support each other. It's like you're all married.
But only you and your husband live together, right? The other people don't live with you.
They're with us a lot.
Right. They're in your space a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have any kind of like rules like, okay, I'm like, I need you to go now. Like I'm done. I need to just be with my husband, or like what happened? Do you use like some special language, or do you just say it?
Well, I'm in love with all of us. So I really don't need them to go. I like them to be with us. We like everybody together. So it's sad when they have to leave and go back to their own homes and their own lives. So the moments together are precious. So no, I don't really feel that.
For anyone listening, you can find all the links mentioned in this episode at rebellove.com/EP41. Susan, thank you again so much for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure. I know this won't be the last time we speak.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to the Rebel Love podcast, the podcast about love, sex, relationships, and money. If you like this episode, please support us by subscribing and leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform. And find all the details of this episode and more at rebellove.com/podcast.